Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Also with us on the show today, we will be having a chat with Brian and John will be joining us. On today's show, we will be taking a look at the latest match between Celtic and Hibernians yesterday. Brian will be joining us to take a look at the meeting between Celtic supporters and the Celtic board. John will be with us for the last hour of the show, and we will take a look at this season as a whole for Celtic and where Celtic goes as a team. First, though, I'll hand off to Mark for the usual shout-outs on the show. Mark?
Thanks very much, Paul. Thanks again for helping us out with everything you do, buddy. Who's coming into live chat there? Bobby Sutherland, and evening, Bobby. David Gallagher. What I've noticed as well, Paul, all these names, you don't know who they are, didn't you know, off the forum?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Folk, see, I get so confused with names and all that just in general, and there are just that many names, and the people on here, and then the people you know through email, through Skype, and then through the forum.
Mhm,
It's hard going
mhm.
at times for an old man like me. Anyway, just the usual shout outs to Tim Alloy, young Ben that's still recuperating, uh, and ROH had actually had a biopsy. I'm sure he'll not mind me saying he had a biopsy on Friday, so he's just waiting on the results of that coming through. And Malika, he's going home in a couple of weeks. Well, no home, he's going to see his kids in a couple of weeks' time, so he'll be really looking forward to that. But good luck with that, Malika. Hail, hail.
Perfect. So, we got it there. David's cowabunga on our thing, but Bobby's not on our forum, but he's a long-time reader. So, thanks very much, Bobby, for joining us on the podcast. Mark, I suppose we just start off between me and yourself there just before we're waiting for Bright to come on. Is yesterday's game
Oh,
nothing new, just thumbs up our season, didn't this? You know?
it was terrible. It really was. It was. It was an end of the season nothing game, but you'd have thought the players would have wanted to get in a bit of a high. Don't get us wrong. I mean, Hibs were diabolical. I mean, they were playing with 5 and 6 men as a back line for a lot of the game. Hibs had no intentions of trying to even get a win out of that yesterday, which I mean they were safe in where they were in the league. So I didn't see the point of Hibs' approach to that at all.
The thing that got me yesterday was John Kennedy continued to play Christie out in the right-hand midfield when James Forbes was fit, and we had young Dembele, who I thought would actually get a good run yesterday after his goal against St Johnstone, but the last 10 minutes again for himself coming on.
Montgomery as well. I thought that was a
Montgomery as
strange
well.
one for Montgomery not to start after the way he played the other night, but I keep John Kennedy just showed that he's no up to the task of being the Celtic manager. He's shown that for the chance. I mean that was 10 games. Some of the bookies actually paid out on the people that bet for Kennedy. That was
Hmm.
a off point, but he's not showed anything at all that he's got any right to be Celtic manager. No chance.
Not even like changing tactics or anything like that. Like it was just like as like Neil Lennon was still involved in the team, and in the way Kennedy he did never really stamped his own
Well,
ground on the team or anything like that. Marks we didn't.
that's all he's done. It's just been a continuation of what we had under Lennon. He never
Hmm.
says it's playing players out of position with Christie. He's just say, right, we know Christie's looking to move. Why was he playing yesterday instead of Forrest?
Exactly.
Or you, right, maybe no start Dembele because Hibs are a big physical team. But Forrest
Hmm.
started on the right and then Dembele brought on. Again,
Exactly.
Scott Brown starting, pure sentimental stuff again. Last game against Hibs, oh, we need to start with Scott Brown. Weird decisions, just kept it same instead of even making some changes over the space of the 10 games he was in charge. It could have just as easily been a Lennon team, Lennon that was in that dugout yesterday, and you wouldn't have known any difference.
I suppose the highlight of yesterday was it was our last game, and it was our last chance, hopefully, to see a lot of players in the Celtic jersey. Mark wanted that was the highlight of that game finishing yesterday.
Aye,
You know.
really it was. I said on the live chat before, I'm just so glad to get this season out of the way. See it
Mhm.
finish. because it's just been, well, we're going to speak about later on, it's just been a disaster for day one. Well, no day one, but you know what I mean. It's just no way
Moving on
at all.
moving on from that, but it's not done. But I just have my notes. We saw Rangers fans at their best yesterday on Twitter. But what shame they have brought to Scottish football as a whole, haven't they, Mark?
I'll be honest, see if Celtic had done 10 in a row, there would have been Celtic fans out in the streets partying and that. There's no point in denying that, but it wouldn't have been that.
No, it wouldn't have been
It
that.
wouldn't have been
Fighting.
carnage, it wouldn't
There
have
was
been
there was
fighting with the
yeah,
police and things like that. It wouldn't have been like that. But
ridiculous.
as I said, if they were entitled, I suppose, because we'd have done the same thing. Well, I wouldn't, I'm a bit past that now, but there would have been Celtic fans out and about, gathering like down the Gallagate and places like that. And it just is what it is. But for it to take a turn and become what it was last night, it was shocking scenes again. Shocking.
Hmm. So we move on, and our first topic of tonight is Celtic board meeting with supporters group on Thursday the 12th at 4 p.m. This is Brian. This is Welch Boy from the forum. And the reason we brought Brian on this is because he's a Celtic season ticket holder for many years at Celtic. This really affects him. Brian, welcome back to the show. Great to have you back. Yeah, Mark?
I should be there. Sound's not coming through very well, Welshie.
Alright.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I can hear you now. Brian, I suppose you're happy that this season is coming to an end, as many as other Celtic fans?
Oh, definitely. It's been a long half season for us, isn't it?
Too long.
Over.
It was too long.
Move on.
Dragging on till the end, wasn't it? So we're going to move on hopefully from this season. Right, who was actually at this meeting on Thursday? Do we know between Celtic and the supporters? Do we know who was at it? Or
I'm not party to that information, but I mean, you just going on Twitter and the usual things people send in, and you know, it's Celtic Trust, boys were there, Green Brigade were there. It's the usual, to be honest with you.
So just reading the meeting started off with the Celtic board talking about the quadruple treble, the positives for Lennon, positives for Peter Lawwell. What positives do you think that they were pointing at, Mike? Do you think, right?
Oh, I mean, obviously this has been a disaster this season, but over the tenure they're going to highlight the positives, aren't they? We have had some great positives, you know. I mean, this season aside, you know, it's been a great run. I mean, it's been very disappointing. There's a lot of reasons for it, but you know, quadruple trebles, they're always going to highlight the good points, aren't they? You know.
Just kind of smooth the meeting off to a good start, Mark, isn't this? You know.
It's got trying to a wee feel good factor to the beginning of the proceedings, isn't it? That's what they're doing with that, trying to get everybody in a good mood, remembering what it used to be like.
So 2 seconds. So there's going to be a new fans forum website where we presume fans will be able to voice their concerns about the club, their views of the club. Is this going to make any difference to Celtic, Brian, do you think, or will it just be...
It's like anything else. It's as long as we're listened to. You know, you can set up all these things as much as you like. I mean, for a start, it's proactive. You know, there's been a lack of communication we've all been screaming that out this season. It's not just the way the season's gone in terms of how bad the footballing side's been. You know, there's been no communication with any of us. We've had season tickets bought and paid for. We still don't know what's happening next season. You know, so, you know, we go into an open mind and see what happens, but hopefully there is more communication.
Mark, would you like to see like that this fans forum website is a new start for the board kind of engaging with the fans?
I'd like to see it being that, but I don't think it will be. As Brian says, it's a good thing if they're going to listen, take things on board about it, but I don't imagine that they really will. It'll just be something like, for me, it's just mere PR kind of stuff. That really, I don't see what end it's going to lead to. It's no, it's just another be fans pat in the back kind of thing, I think.
Next is they talked about the Stoke Sands facilities, Tommy Bond's statue or tribute. Are we in favour of a Tommy Bond statue outside Celtic Park, or maybe renaming the training ground after Tommy Bond's cycle? Or
without doubt, his legacy should always live on with Celtic fans for what he's done for the club. He's man through and through. You know, I'm 100% off for it. Mark's quite champion quite a few times about renaming Lennox Town. That'd be a fitting tribute for him.
Mark, what do you think? Should it be a statue, or should it be the training ground, or both, maybe? What Tommy Bond's done for this club, you know?
I think it should be both, Paul. The training ground should be named after him, and as I've said before, we've spoken about it in the forum, over time I think Celtic Way should be lined with Celtic greats and like statues and things like that. And Tommy Burns has got to be one of them. And in years to come, Scott Brown will probably be one of them as well.
I'd like to see something done for Tommy Burns before even something is kind of considered for Scott Brown, Mark, would you?
No, definitely. I'm talking about years to come. I mean, like Jimmy McGrory should have a statue. Do you know what I mean? Through the years, players should have statues, and then we'll be long gone, hopefully, by the time they're talking about putting a statue up for Scott Brown. But I'm talking about in the future, there should be things like that. That's the way I would work it.
No is
shouldn't they?
Exactly. No, it's Dom McKay is starting to speak. He mentioned that his first day at the club is when the European Super League started. Celtic need to be ready for changes in football. Wanted to meet the fans as soon as possible, he told Peter Lawwell. Profoundly disappointed with this season, suffocating for going for 10 in a row, lesser focus for success, competing for Europe. So, do you think, Brian, that Dominic McKay sees that the club maybe have failed in the direction they were going for 10 in a row by his comments there?
Well, you know, he'd be naive not to address it as that way. You know, it's not his fault. He knows how he should know how we're feeling. Even if he doesn't. That's the way he should be approaching it. He should be reaching out to us. You know, this season should have been all about 10 in a row, and this conversation should really be about how we're going to progress from 10 in a row. Now it's step back and start again. You know, we should be having conversations here about progression in Europe and so forth, but we're not. We need to get the league back.
Exactly. Mark, do you have anything there, the first kind of things that...
Just, we'll see, look, things like Dominic McKay, as we said about Dermot Desmond, we'll know him by his actions rather than his words. I mean, it's just basically something said what everybody already knew there. But he's got to address it. It's a fair play for what he has said. And I don't think anybody would disagree with what he's basically saying. But it depends, well, what's his next step about changing it? That's more important to the fans than anything what's his opinion on what's went on has been. Do you know what I mean?
Next up, they were talking about the managerial position. He mentioned there's lots happening. Frustrating, it's taking so long. We're making progress. He's on about engaging deeply with supporters. Big challenge for our noisy neighbours this season. Making sure that Celtic are going to make the right choice in manager. Do you think they already have the manager in place, Brian? Considering that he said
it seems to be. I mean, it's reading between the lines, and it's quite there to see that how's nailed on for it. If it's somebody else, then it's either going to be somebody left wing out of nowhere, or it's going to be one of the usual suspects that have been championed about. But no, I think it's going to be Howe. I'm not too concerned that it's not been announced yet. It's more a case of that's the season finished now, so move forward for that. Let Scott Brown have his adulation this week and what have you, and then move on from there.
And I'm actually think like he's saying like our noisy neighbours are making noise this season. Are you expecting a big name manager like Eddie Howe to be announced to put Rangers back in their box next season, basically?
I can't what to take the headlines off of them for a change. No, I think it's
Mm.
going to be. I agree with Welsh. Barry's adamant that I agree with that. It's going to be Eddie Howe. And what that says again, it's just it basically can't commit and announce anything. There's something going on in the background that's not got heart.
It is. It's a strange one, isn't it? That like maybe it is Eddie Howe, and maybe we'll actually find out more tomorrow if Bournemouth don't qualify for the playoffs final. Maybe that's the reason they're waiting, is because he wants his backroom staff from Bournemouth. Brian Jones.
I don't see how that would hold the deal up, Paul, and just announcing him.
No, he's coming.
It's like I said as well when the stories came out about, he's still getting paid with Bournemouth to the end of the season. Well, that's fair enough, but Celtic should still be able to announce that, well, Eddie Howe, once his contract with Bournemouth finished, he'll start his contract with Celtic. We do it with players. You send players 6 months before their contract's finished and you can announce it. So I don't see, if it is that, I don't, maybe some kind of legal disclosure hanging in these contracts or something that's stopping it. But if it is that, it's a bit silly to be playing games and dancing about it.
I'm hoping it's more a fresh thing, more of a, let them have their day, move on, and then make it all about us moving forward.
Yeah, just like get the season finished with, let them have their day, and then Celtic will go right, do the right business in the right way. Then Brian, kind of a thing, yeah.
That's it.
Next on the meeting is he talked about the structure of the club, that the club needs to be modernised. The quality of our structure needs to keep evolving with the club, with the modernising with football to succeed. Focus on manager first, he says, and also keep evolving in other departments. Brian, did you not think under Peter Law that the club has not moved forward maybe to modernise it and go with the different?
To be honest with you, I think the money's been made. The club have been successful domestically. We can't complain about that. I just felt that we've always just kept them at arm's length. To me, Lawwell sees the business side of things and the old firm caption, so to speak. That just seems to be that he's always wanted that to be relevant in my eyes, just to keep the finances the way they should be for Celtic. He's had no ambitions of moving forward in Europe. It's just keep them at arm's length. But we're bigger than that. We should be better than that. We should have more ambition than that. So hopefully, the sound bites coming out of that's what they're saying. Then hopefully they can carry it forward.
Mark, you anything there what he's saying about the kind of structure of the club?
Well, I think we all agree. We all know that it's not been modernised and kept as up to date as it should be. And Brian's spot on there. Celtic just have settled just to be in front of them for so long, and without looking at the bigger picture of where we could have been. And it just small mindedness in the outlook and the planning. And as Brian says, we're a lot bigger than that. We should have buried them. We should have buried them even over the last 3 or 4 years when they came back up to the league. But Lawwell dropped the ball. That's totally, for me, it comes down to Peter Lawwell. I keep saying that, but it really does.
Well, they credit for the trebles and everything else, and then they'll take the blame for what's happened this season. It goes hand in hand.
And even he's talking about like improving market kind of in every department. Like, do you think he's on about maybe the scouting system there, the youth academy, who we all know that is failing so badly this season?
Everything's needing an overhaul, Paul. Even the PR of the club, the way they treat the fans, things like that. Every department's needing modernised and brought up to date and brought up to a better standard than it's been for the last 18 months or so.
The only thing I saw from the PR department this year was ex-players or this player's happy birthdays coming out on the Celtic,
The Twitter thing is a pure embarrassment at times. It really is.
Which is a shame as well, because you've got poor JP on there who takes pelters You know, and he always comes on. He'll always answer your questions. He'll always do what he can, and he seems to be like the focal point for everything that comes out of Celtic at the minute. And it's, you know, somebody needs to help him.
I suppose the main kind of benefit myself and you, Mark, didn't know until Barry taught us was that Dominic McKay, being a Celtic supporter, he knows how the fans actually feel, that the board aren't communicating with the fans, Mark, isn't it?
Sorry, say that again.
Like, myself and you didn't know that Dominic McKay was a season ticket holder for Celtic for years.
No, I didn't know.
And he actually knows, being a Celtic supporter, how quiet the board have been with the fans. Do you know, the last couple of years? You know?
Well, if he didn't know, he'll certainly know about it now.
This should just be one person's opinion, though, when it goes to, you know, surely there must be board meetings, there must be PR meetings and all sorts. I mean, obviously somebody gets the final say in what happens, but, you know, is there a collective meetings going on where they just say, we're not selling this, we'll not say this, we'll not address that? We don't seem to get nothing from the club whatsoever.
Even with the disaster, Mark, when Peter Lawwell came out and he apologised for Dubai, and then you had Lennon coming out then defending it. Like, there was totally miscommunication there, Mark, wasn't there?
That was another PR disaster. For a start, I don't think Peter Lawwell did anything to apologise for, Paul. I really don't. I've been through that 100 times and it's in the past now. But it was just another big boo-boo, a big cluster. I not want to swear, but you know, another disaster when your manager's saying one thing, your CEO's saying something totally different.
So next, they started talking about getting fans back into the stadium next season. They stated they're working closely with the Scottish Football Association. They're working with the government. The government, Dave McKay says he wants to meet some local authorities about actions from other clubs representing football in general. Dominic McKay wants to communicate with fans more about getting back into the stadium. Brian, this really affects you. Like, do you know anything about going into the stadium next season yourself, or anything like?
None whatsoever. I mean, reading between the lines there, at the end of the day, it's going to be governed by the Scottish government. There, it's not going to be a Celtic decision. But obviously these meetings need to take place, trial events possibly. I don't know. There's lots of events going on at the minute where there's the silly thing is you can sit next to each other and watch the snooker, but you can't go to a football match and stand 2 meters apart. It's but it is what it is. We've just got to find what's going on. But as for next season, what I took from that was there was something said about those that will get back in, say 10% or whatever it might be. It was more down to the fact that it would be postcode related. I found that quite interesting, you know, because I've sort of taken it for granted that once there's a percentage going in, they're not going to have this travel from all over the place. It's going to be local people as such. But that was quite interesting to hear. So we'll see what comes from that.
And will that affect you massively then, Brian? Yeah.
Of course it will be. I mean, I'm 300 miles from Glasgow, so you know. For taking us, it'll even affect supporters club as well, because if you think about it as well, if we take 12, 13, 14 people up on a bus and only 2 get to go, it's going to affect how the transport situation and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting going forward to see. I mean, look, obviously we'll take whatever we can get and we'll go whenever we can, but it's going to be interesting going forward to see how it pans out.
Next topic was, and when I started reading through this yesterday, it was the season ticket renewals, and so the season ticket renewals will be out at the end of May. They won't have a sale position on them. Then it's where the club basically start come out and start begging. So season ticket renewals are £25 million. Match day tickets are 43 to 44% of revenue. To give £200 refund to every season ticket holder is roughly at a cost to £10 million to the club. Basically, if we don't get 53,000 season tickets fully paid, then recruitment of the caliber of players we're going to have for next season will be affected. Like, that's a real pay or you won't get the players you want kind of a thing, Brian, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, that's pulling at the heartstrings. That I don't think there's any need for that sort of statement, to be honest with you. We're not daft. We all know that the match day revenue and the season ticket revenue goes a long way towards the bank balance. But if you look at the individual fan, you're looking at people now who maybe can't afford to go, don't know how they're going to pay it, or are we going to pay again without knowing if we're going to get in and what have you. I mean, individual people's circumstances, in all fairness, should come above and beyond what player we're going to sign.
Mark, what your thoughts on the season ticket renewals situation? Mark, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can see you can see it from both sides of the argument, but as Brian says, we know where the money's going. They didn't need to bring that into it. Do you know? But we need the money if we want to buy players. Fans aren't daft. We know that. But like we keep saying it, it's with this epidemic, people losing their jobs. It's a lot of money for people to lay out when they don't know what they're going to be getting for it.
I think that's the most
Fans should be victimised. We shouldn't be put in a position of particularly people who've gone, whether it's 1 season or 10 seasons or whatever it might be. They shouldn't be going, oh, I can't afford it. Somebody will take that season ticket if you give it up, and then the money will come into the club. But then these people who are regulars and need the finances and want to be expecting them, to me, that's that should show more about what the club's about. That's the ethos of the club in my eyes. We should be looking after the fans.
Mark, do you think there was any point to this meeting the other day? Because nothing came out of it to what we already knew was what was happening in the club. It just seems to be the same old kind of conversations that we've been talking about here on the podcast.
Well, that's really all it is. But at least the club's reached change. They were there and they answered questions the best they could. But again, it's always about trying to protect the image and not let things leak out. That seems to be just what Celtic do all the time. They don't like any leaks at all getting out about anything. And
it was just a bit of transparency. Tell us what's happening, what's going forward.
they just kind of just skirt it the main points, and as Paul said there, it was just basically what we're sitting saying now, as we've been saying for weeks on the podcast and on the forum, and all the fans have been saying on Twitter, and then it just came out and skirted around it with the wee usual bat in the head about how important the fans are and how that kind of it's a kind of Rangers kind of churn out day after day with statements. They don't really say anything, but they're there. Do you know what I mean? They're there for you to read or listen to, but they don't actually say anything.
Like to be like, because I'm not a season ticket holder as you know, but like to be a season ticket holder and not knowing who the manager is yet, not knowing where the club is going forward because of this atrocity, it's really a difficult time to be a season ticket holder, Brian, is it? Not knowing where the club is at the moment,
I look at it a different way. The money, the decisions on who's coming in, who's not coming in, is not going to affect me personally as to why or when I buy my season ticket. That's it's not a selling point for me. Supporting Celtics, what the season ticket's all about. So from that point of view, I take it as I can see why there needs to be some good publicity around the club going forward now. There needs to be a feel good factor. There's obviously there's a lot of people out there who won't make that decision, depending on who the manager is. They'll wait till that decision is made. So it's just how the club want to play it out. It's difficult just now. But at the end of the season, it's
daring competition, isn't it, Brian? It's like who's going to blink first?
We're
not going to buy the tickets to find out who the manager is. And the club are saying, well, we're not telling you who the manager is now.
That's it. I mean, I keep harping on about it all the time. I mean, me, the more important thing about the season ticket is more the case of how much is it going to be, and what we're going to get for it. Is there anything going to come back from next season, which they're saying there isn't going to be? So going forward next season, do we go back into it again, do we miss 5 games, 10 games, 20 games the whole season? It's that's the most important thing for me in terms of the season ticket renewals. No, actually, who the manager's going to be. I mean, from my point of view, it doesn't matter who it's going to be. As soon as I can get back up there, I'll be getting in.
I think that's one of your main concerns, is that when you're going to get back into the stadium, Brian, no matter like you're Celtic supporter, you don't care who the manager.
It has to be. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, you go back and you look at we were happy with the recruitment at the start of the season. We know where the money went. But my season ticket. We're just speaking about me personally. My season ticket money this year went to Celtic, and I got nothing in return for it. That's the way I see it, right? But that's fine. I've got no issues with that. But going to the next season, going forward, for some people, £500, £600, £700, that can go a long way. It could be a holiday. It could be something you're doing up in your house. It could be the kids' clothes. It could
buy a
million and one thing. It's a million and one thing. So it's the uncertainty around that's more important to me.
It could fill your jacuzzi up in your back garden, I think.
It's already full, mate. I'm staring at it right now, and the sun's out, so we might be a bit jump in afterwards. I'll have to do one of the podcasts. I'm in the jacuzzi.
Just there, first.
Camera off. Make sure the camera.
That's all right. I've built the fence high as well.
Well, Mark, do you think that hopefully this is the start? Right away, these things that Dom McKay said, that he knows the club needs to move forward. Do you think maybe he came in and maybe that's like, remember at the start fans were calling him out after his first 10 days in the job, fans were saying like, why isn't he making a statement and stuff? Do you think he was actually looking at the club from behind and see where he needs to improve, and now he knows where he's improved? He's there to come out and say these things.
Sorry, Mark.
Oh, no, I think you're right here, Paul. He's been in there and had a look under the bonnet, as the saying goes, and that's what he's seen in the space of a couple of weeks. I mean, that rugby, I don't really follow rugby, but I mean, the rugby always gets good press, so you know what I mean? So he knows what he's doing when it comes to things like that, and maximising the coverage that you're going to get in the right things, the way things should be run to do that.
Right.
Well, that's like I say, the rugby gets good PR. I mean, we've spoken about it before. In this day and age, social media platforms and everything else, there's a perfect. What happened this season has just happened. It's finished. We need to go forward now and build forward, and to do that, create a feel-good factor. Get into the start of the season, and what better way to do that is to get things going and addressing people's questions and getting on the social media and what have you, and just let's start building something up for next season and put that last season to bed.
It's not going to happen overnight. I think a lot of fans are thinking one day they're going to wake up and everything in the garden's going to be rosy. It's going to take time to get the scouting department up to speed and things like that. It'll take time. You'll not see the benefits, any changes to that for a few months, well, maybe a year anyway, I wouldn't think.
No, that's I mean, but look at Dom McKay there. That's obviously he's in charge of it all and everything else. But rugby's his background and what have you. There needs to be, like you say, the overhaul from the scout department. We need people choosing who these right people are, so we can get these right decisions. I mean, some of the money we've wasted in the last few seasons has been unreal.
But do you think that is that solely down to the scouts, and or is it down to Peter Lawwell, as we talked before, Brian, buying second best, the cheaper option, or is it a bit of both?
I think we all know Lawwell likes to put his fingers into the football side, so hopefully Dom McKay knows what his place is and knows what his strengths are, rather than let other people do what they're good at. You've only looked at the conversation there with the choice between Tony and Ayeti. What a difference that would have made.
Exactly. Like realistic, like people are expecting Celtic to have an open checkbook next season, but we still have to work within a budget, and fans need to understand that, don't they? So we have to really spend wisely this season rather than blowing money, don't we?
Oh, definitely. I keep saying that it's not the amount of money we spend, it's the way we spend it that pisses me off about it, Paul. Wasting money on players that they're never going to make a difference. and it's no planning, there's no thought went into it, and it's just money driven. That's all that really Celtic's been. I know they need to make money, but that's what they've been more driven as rather than a foot. Do you get what I mean? Rather than being run like a football team, it was merely just making money, buying and selling players, but taking the cheap option, as Brian says all the time. But that Tony, I'm not convinced that I think I said it before. I think he would have been Edouard's replacement. And see, when Edouard was staying, that's when Lawwell pulled the plug on that. I think that's what happened there.
That kind of really that was kind of the backfire. The piece Law was not letting these players go for a good bit of money, Mark, and replaced them. That kind of really backfired on Celtic this season, didn't this?
He done what we wanted. As Brian said earlier, we were not delighted when the transfer window shut with the players that we'd kept and the players that we'd brought in, and it just didn't work out for us.
One thing that kind of wasn't mentioned in this meeting, Brian, was it didn't come out, was a director of football. Do you think we're actually going to appoint director of football, or are we slowly going to concentrate on the first team manager first?
You know, I think the manager's obviously, let's say we've touched on that, Eddie, how I think it's going to be. Director of football, when you look at Dom McKay's background of rugby, and hopefully his remit there is to the finances and the PR and everything else. And a director of football coming in has got to be the way forward then for taking the club forward, down through the years. He's spoke on previous podcasts about, when the manager comes in, the manager moves. I mean, let's make no bones about it. Eddie, say for instance, it's Eddie Howe, he comes in, he wins 2 trebles, and all of a sudden he's back down the road where the promised land for these people is. The director of football stays in place and the continuity keeps going. That's modern football. You're going to talk about modern football. That's modern football.
That's what he's talking about there. That's modern football that he's kind of talking about.
You need longevity. You need long-term plans. You can't just plan for season after season. And in all fairness, that's what Lawwell's done over the last few years. Let's get next season, let's win it. Let's get next season, let's win it. And it's been expected rather than planned for. There has been no project. I mean, you look at this season just now, and you got to look at the players like Edouard, Ayer, Christie. We're losing half a team at the end of this season. 3 years ago, this should have been right 10 in a row's coming up. These players will hopefully we win. The profile's high, and off they go, and then the plans are in place for moving forward. But we're starting again.
See, that's poor planning for me, Brian. See, when so many players last year of their contracts, so we need to sell them. But Lawwell's known that's been happening for at least 2 years. So, he's filled the team with loan players as well. Instead of, do you know what I mean? We've not got a right back. So there we're looking for a right back as well as centre back. A right back should have been bought last summer, or even the summer before that.
In place. So, and the thing as well is now what all backfired is we don't even know what Eddie's value is. We don't know what Christie's value. You go into a 10 in a row. See, if we'd won the league this year and they banged in 30 goals and his profile's high, it's top dollar. We don't know what the market's going to be. And plus the fact there is, he wants to go. It's not a case of somebody chatting on saying, well, this guy's on fire, we're going to pay a lot of money for him. They can name their prices, these clubs, now rather than Celtic name their prices.
Exactly, especially when they're kind of in their last year of their contracts as well, Brian, and they actually don't want to be in the club. So Celtic are really in a position kind of to accept any offer, really, Mark. Do you think?
No, I wouldn't think so. Celtic will still be looking for serious money for Edouard.
Edouard, yeah, but the likes of maybe and stuff like them,
they'll still be looking for good money for Ayer as well. Christie, I don't know.
I think the problem there is whether the clubs are getting into a bidding war, isn't it?
You expect, like with rumours going with Edouard, that there's Aston Villa now kind of came into the fold today. Then you have Newcastle, supposedly West Ham, Arsenal. You'd like to see kind of a bidding war kind of going on between those clubs for Edouard as well, Brian, would you?
Don't care if it's Barnsley or whoever. Pay top money and take them.
Well, even teams over in France will keep an eye on him as well. He'll probably, Celtic fans are, but no slating him, just saying he's had a bad season, but that doesn't mean he's a bad player. And he's still a guy as well, and that's Just this season.
If you look at the France that under 21s, he's been the top goal scorer there now. His profile's still high from that point of view.
Do you think that in the next couple of days, Brian, we're going to see the new manager in place, or does it have to be next week, or is it going to be the first week in June? Do you think? Or
I think time normally tells with these things. It will be soon. We need to try and take some of the attention away from him. Although after yesterday's events, leave the attention on him at the minute. Celtic is a PLC. It's a big club. It's everything else. There needs to be something good coming from the club now instead of a pick me up. And I think for most people, it's going to be the manager. It's a bit of excitement then, isn't it? Because once you know your manager's in place, you sort of get an idea as to perhaps who's going to sign, but what type of player he looks for and things like that. We need to get a bit of excitement in the place.
You kind of know what way direction the first team is going to be playing next season, Mark, rather than the manager that we pick, isn't it?
But once the manager's announced, it's like a snowball effect, isn't it? You'll start talking about players. You'll start talking about, if we signed him, we can do this and do that. You've at least something to look forward to. Start, as Brian says, look forward what we're going to be playing like and that. It needs to be happening soon. It's dragging on, and then says the end of May the season ticket renewals will be. Because I think that was one of the reasons why they've held back in them, because they're usually out in April. I think that was one of the reasons, because they didn't have a manager in place or were able to announce it.
The bigger picture, the Euro qualifiers coming up, they come thick and fast. And that's a good way of getting the ground running. Get ready for them.
Scotland, didn't they?
No, not them. I don't care about that. I meant the UAE. Where do we go in there? I don't even know. Did we get Champions League this year? Is it qualifiers this year, Champions League, or is that next season?
No, we still get qualified for the Champions League this year.
Right, there you go. So that's what we need to be looking for.
Yeah, realistically, like the Champions League qualifiers are only around the corner. So the club need to be acting in the next couple of weeks, don't they, or maybe sooner? Do you think?
Well, the thing with that as well is, we're needing that many players, but how many players are going to? Well, wait a minute, I'm not turning up as early as that for pre-season training.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got the Euros themselves coming on. Where players who in the background we could be looking at. All the players will be thinking, I'm not committing to any clubs at the minute, because if I have a good Euros, that's my money right up.
Exactly. Right, there was some talks about there was rumours, and myself and Mark discussed them with a few guests on the show previously, that Peter Lawwell is supposed to stay on as a consultant to Dom McKay. Do you have any thoughts on that, or should Dom McKay just have a clean slate and be his own man at the club?
To be honest, that should be a decision for Dom McKay. If he's looking for guidance and advice and everything else, I've got no issues with that whatsoever. As long as he's, people need to get a structure of who's doing what in the club. And the football side needs to be one thing, and the business side needs to be another. And let's make no bones about it. Lawwell's, as much as we slight him and everything else, he's pretty astute on the business side, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Mark, you made your comments about that Lawwell should actually step aside and let Dominic McKay be his own man and go what he's saying.
If he's just going to be like a consultancy on the end of the phone for Dominic McKay to phone up and things like that, I don't see any problem with that. Because nobody knows how Celtic works better than Peter Lawwell. Nobody knows how Celtic runs better than Peter Lawwell. So if it's just this consultancy role, which is a case of, even if it's a wee pension top-up or whatever, and it's just to be in the end of the phone for Dominic McKay whenever he needs them, I've not got any problem with that. But as long as it's Dominic McKay but he's taking advice from Peter Lawwell and then putting his own thought in it and coming to his own conclusions, I don't see any problem at all with it.
Like Dominic McKay make the final decision and not taking Peter Law's decision maybe on transfers or anything like that, like, you know?
No, don't take nothing to do with football side of things. I wouldn't be looking at letting Peter Law have any kind of say on that. And we all say we hope it's a director of football that's making the decisions in future. But the actual business side of things in that, I think you could have a lot worse than have the phone number of Peter Law if you're trying to make a go of a business.
He'd be naive not to use them. Like I say, as long as it's his decision, if there's something he wants to know, he wants advice, whatever it might be, and he makes his own conclusions at the end of that advice, then take away the football side of things. He's coming in to run the business, and anybody that can help in the business side of things, it's been naive not to use them.
And going by with the players leaving this season, Brian, is that added pressure on Dominic McKay that we've never kind of been in a position like this before, that so many players are leaving? Has he come into Celtic at a bad time, Dominic McKay, or is there no time bad to go into Celtic?
He's coming into Celtic. He's obviously got his eyes wide open as to what he's coming into in terms of the size of the club and everything else. Probably the transition would have been a lot easier had we been going from a 10 in a row season and everybody's happy and moving on and everything else. But so he's got a big job to do. So people get paid big money, and they obviously get paid big money to do these jobs for a reason. So it'll be interesting going forward. It's very difficult to make an opinion on Dominic McKay just now. It's just a case of, he's the man. Let's see what he does and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. I think that sums it up, Mark. It's hard to make an opinion about Dominic McKay at the moment.
We don't really know much about him. Well, once he starts making decisions, that's when we'll know. Do you get what I mean? I keep saying that about him and Desmond. We'll know them by their actions rather than the ones they're putting in their wee interviews with fan kind of things. But I think it's a great time to come into Celtic. Either is whatever you're going to be doing, because for me it's a clean slate. It's a clean board. You can if you're coming in as a new CEO, you're coming into with good money already, contract wise, with your sponsorships and all that. The club ticks over well. It ticks over brilliant when things are going well on the park, but the club ticks over well even when the things aren't going well on the park. So basically, Dominic McKay's he's not got that much today apart from make appointments for things to get better. But we're more interested in the football side. Do you get what I mean? I don't really want to be picking up the paper and hearing about Dominic McKay. You
want to be hearing about and the manager and stuff like that, Mark. That's what we want to hear. The fans, we don't want to be, as fans have been calling out, like this statement that came out there the other day. Like that's the same stuff really that we've been hearing the last couple of days. I want to hear about new manager, players coming forward, where we are now. Like I want to know what players are leaving and what players we're going to have.
One thing we don't want to hear is what you said. We said the other day. We don't want to be hearing, "We need you to buy your books because we need the money to invest into the team and this, that, and the other." That's not the route we want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You expect that for your like Kilmarnocks and teams like that, isn't it? Really, that really rely on the kind of fans' money to get by. I mean, they're saying it would cost 10 million. Well, if you qualified for the Champions League last year, you could have taken that money. Do you get what I mean? 10 million's it's a lot of money to Celtic in Scottish football. But when you look at the money the big teams are getting in England and things like that, it would be 10 million giving that back to our fans would be nothing to them. It would be a goodwill gesture.
You look at the credit facility Celtic must obviously have as well, and 10 million over so many years. It's not like 10 million. That's 10 million. When Celtic dealing that kind of money, it's dealt with over years. They could swallow that over however many years. That's the way I see it.
Do you think, over what you said, like the Champions League qualifiers, do you think that Dominic McKay will make that kind of a main priority, making sure we get into the group stages, Brian?
I think that's where Desmond comes in. That's where the money side of things come in. I mean, I don't think Dominic McKay, you need to know what the budget is and everything else for going forward. And we need to hit the ground running.
We don't know that yet.
We need to hit the ground running next season, and what better way than getting a manager in, getting some players in, moving forward for the qualifiers coming up, and then at the start of the season, we feel good factor about the place. Yeah. We spoke about it before. So many players that need to come into the club. It's you just got to put your hands up and say, right, let's get excited and see what happens next season. But until the club start making decisions, it's difficult to know which way we're going to go.
Exactly, Mark.
I think Champions League's a bit maybe too far for us this coming season with the amount of the upheaval, with new manager, the amount of players that need to come and go. I think qualifying for the Champions League will be a big ask, especially when it's so tight between, we're so tight in time to try and get so many players in the door, try and get them working as a team and that. Probably good enough for like the weird teams like you get in the early round of qualifiers, but when it gets to the nitty gritty, I think we could be in trouble. But for me, it's about getting a team on the park that's going to win us a league back next year. That's the main thing for me. Which
exactly, that's
the window.
Get the title.
I mean, we don't know when there'll be cut, obviously, when you can sign players that can play in your Champions League qualifiers and all that carry on. So, but every month we've got to be looking at more like the start of the season and the end of the transfer window. We need to be settled and playing well. And Brian says, hit the ground running, get some wins under our belt at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm. Brian, anything else do you want to say before we move on?
Sure. A lot of things there, haven't we? No.
Perfect. Brian, as always, thanks very much for coming on, Mark.
Oh, pleasure.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thanks again.
Take care.
So next on the show, we're going to talk about this season as a whole. John, United on from the forum will be joining us, and we're just going to have a brief discussion about where we went wrong this season, and we're going to look at a few stats and look at our points, our goal difference and stuff like that. So, John with us, Mark?
Just calling him a new Paul.
Before we just start, just a few stats for this season. Celtic have only got 6 points away from home this season against the top 4 teams. 2 defeats against Rangers, as we know, and the rest were draws, Mark. That's a very bad...
it's really poor when you read it out like that, Paul. And
that
they don't win leagues with that kind of stats. I think that's John there. Are you there, John?
I'm here, buddy. I'm here.
Hi, John. Thanks for coming on, bud.
No worries. Thanks for having me again.
No problem.
John, I suppose like you're happy, like all of us, that this season is finished. But how bad was it for you being a Celtic supporter this season? How we crumbled?
It's too bad. It's far too bad. I can just as we seen all the celebrations yesterday, just to know the show they had. So I can remember when we Stoke 10 in a row, the street parties we had in the housing scheme I was for, and the joy it was going through us that day, just to see all that yesterday, what they were going through, and it shouldn't have been like that. It could have been stopped if it was Zura and downfall. We done it with our own self. We shot ourselves in the foot, and we could have stopped it. It was just stupid decisions. Daft decisions it was.
Do you think, Mark Hoffey, that maybe Darren Desmond was seeing these celebrations yesterday and he'll react the same way he acted when he appointed Martin O'Neill and Brendan Rodgers?
Fingers crossed anyway. It wasn't pretty to see at all last night's scenes in Glasgow, but as John says there, I was ready to call you Barry there again, of these names. As John says, it's tough to watch them. I mean, they're entitled to celebrate, they're not entitled to trash your place and that, but it should have been us celebrating 10 in a row. They didn't win.
Exactly, Mark, exactly.
They didn't win the league, we lost that league, we lost that.
We handed them it.
I said it before, on paper, player for player, on their day, we'd annihilate any team in Scotland, and it's just not happened this season for the reasons that we've been through 100 times.
I think we're left to see racings and every scenes and their thoughts and their feelings, and these players that's created these scenes are going to be away now in the summer to their big contracts and to their fancy league they want to go to. They're not an afterthought of this club. that's an historic. When you go,
oh, by like 36 games, like we won 22, we drew 11, we lost 5. That seems to be our main concern, Mark. Is the drawing games? You know, we're not able to kill off games, or you know that was a big
Under
issue
Tommy
this
Burns.
season, wasn't it?
That was one of the problems under Tommy Burns. We drew too many games. But at least under Tommy Burns, it was good football to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You knew the team's limitations then. This team were coming off the back of a quadruple treble. And we we get stronger. We didn't weaken ourselves over a transfer window. We get stronger, if anything. But just when it came to it, the players just didn't turn up.
29 goals conceded. Most of our goals I was looking at, and it's been a big issue this season, was our failure to defend set pieces, John, and that was a big concern for me this season, was that every free kick that was in and around the box was like a penalty against Celtic, wasn't it?
Oh, it's every time I'm getting a set piece for a corner, it was like I was shutting my eyes and turning away and just expecting to open them and see we were a goal down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the feeling I was getting off it. It was like, it's a goal, and a lot of the time it was a goal.
This probably won't surprise you, but I said I'll check it up because we talked about him before, and people were talking about when the live chat form was Laxell. 22 fouls he committed outside Celtic box last season. 22 fouls. Is that what he made last season? This season outside Celtic box, and compared to the rest from then, I think Taylor's only about 8 or 10. Like, that's some difference, you know. Like,
I can't believe how bad Laxalt is. I can't believe he plays for AC Milan.
mm-hmm.
It just doesn't look like a high level footballer to me anyway.
I think that's the reason they put him to us for the season, Mark, and also he was only last season on loan as well. I think they've just put him out to kind of get him off the books and get him away for the squad and just kind of get him somewhere.
I didn't know he'd been out on loan the season before that.
It was Atlanta or something he was with. Might be wrong, maybe the season before that.
No, I knew you'd say that. I think that rings a bell when he signed it. We'd seen that he'd been out on loan. But maybe that just shows you. But I mean, who scouted him for AC Milan? To actually see, we'll sign him.
It was at the back of the last World Cup in Copa America. That's where they signed him. You know, like that's true. What Brian was saying there. Like, you know, like average players could be playing in these European Championships in the summer, and they could have a great European Championships, and then they'll come on, they'll be on big wages, and then they just don't walk out at a big club. And that's the same with Laxell at AC Milan, and he came to us, and we actually saw at Celtic that he actually isn't a great player, Mark, you know.
Oh, he's a terrible player. But that's went on for years. Did Liverpool, I can remember Liverpool signed somebody getting back a while right enough after the World Cup. My boy was a star in the World Cup.
Yes, I do, yeah.
It was an African guy, I think it was, for one of the African nations. But once he came, he was just garbage. He never kicked on, never looked as if didn't just look like a football player. But that's Laxalt for me. I'd put Laxalt as one of the worst players I've seen in a Celtic jersey. I honestly would.
Would you kind of put him up there as well, John Laxell, as one of the worst players?
Possibly, aye, possibly. At the start, I kind of seen a wee something, like just the way he was going forward, like attacking, a bit of flair, like he's got something. But then you just seen the defensive side, and you're like, no, he's not got it. He's not for us. That's my AC Milan, mate. I seen at the start, and they've sighted him, and then just kind of regretted it after, and that's why they'll put him out on loan a few times. Whereas if we took him a permanent instead of a loan this season, we'd have been the same. I regret that a bit.
Fair enough, we lost the league, like, but it's the way we lost the league.
It's the way we've been doing a few years, like we just lay them on these, and just let them do what they want. And the fans were, I was one of the fans that was kind of I was blind to it. I'm not blind, I think I was just kind of a bit loyal to Neil Lennon and just try to stand behind them. And a lot of fans were calling out at the start, change needed. And just like the board just kind of as if like when they're listening, it's happening. This is what's happening this season. It's happening. And they didn't try and change it and try and fight or try and salvage it or anything. It was just like it's gone. That's it. Just let it fizzle out, and that was it. and a lot of fans seen it away before Christmas and calling it out. And I never made any effort to change it, and we got to January, never made any effort. They just brought John Joe Kenny in and loan, and there was no effort at all to try and put a fight against them and just keep going and fight them to the end. But we just like, I could just let the season end and give him a title. That's the way I felt.
Do you think there could have been a chance if the Celtic board reacted in December and January and released Lennon from his contract early? Do you think we could have had maybe a better fight, or was it just down to the players as well, not giving up? Or
if we changed the manager, maybe these players would have knuckled down and started performing better. But it's all ifs and buts. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, did Peter Lawwell, Dermot Desmond think that Lennon was capable of turning it round? That the team, they knew the team was better than it was, and they just needed to click to make things start happening again. If we changed the manager and the players had knuckled down, I'd have been confident that we'd have only won the league. I'll put it that way. A good manager with their players playing well and playing to their capabilities would have pushed us for the league title this year.
The thing is, in January as well, we still had 3 games in Holland too, so that's basically a 9-pointer if we win them.
Going by that, so one major position that really kind of let us down this season was our goalkeeper situation, and I've never saw a team without no injuries playing 3 keepers. And look, this is where it goes. It's Barquez this is only the Premier League. I'm not counting Europe now or anything like that. Premier League, he played 15 games. He actually made 14 saves that I can't remember. Goals conceded is 10. Bain made 18 appearances. He made
14 saves.
14 saves. Yeah.
Pulled a good save off last week. Did you see it? A nice save he put off. Did you see him get a bit of authority like ushering his on that got it right?
So I don't know. Are they counting here, Mark? Maybe the ball rolling on the floor and he picking it up and they counting that as a save. So Bain made 9 saves. He conceded 8. Hazard 5, 4 saves and 1 goal against. That's really for 3 keepers. Like, none of them kind of established themselves this season, and
none of them.
We need a new keeper next season. We spoke to Mark about. But John, do you think it's a position that we need to improve next season? Keeper, are you happy with these 3 for next season?
Oh, definitely the goalkeeper. You need a commanding goalkeeper. A solid number 1 that's going to come in, command his box and command respect after defence. And I don't know who's out there we can go for. I brought up the forum with Begovic. Obviously, if it's Eddie Howe, it's maybe Eddie Howe, and obviously he signed him at Bournemouth and he's met him on a free. But I think somebody else brought up the forum that he'd signed a contract extension. So I'm not sure, but we definitely need a strong number 1 coming. That's where we should start for. A strong number 1 and just build for there.
And do you not think Barkas could be it?
Mark, I'm willing to give him another chance. He is, you say, the right guy, and Eddie Howe can give a bit of confidence because he's coming to a new city in a lockdown where he's come there here in his time and family. He's got to training with a team he doesn't know, doesn't really speak the language, no socialising, get him a flat, sit in a flat himself and come back at training, and then in a big season and the team's a mess at the same time as well. And I'm wanting to give him another chance because there's definitely a quality keeper there if you can get confidence in him.
Mark, in the last 2 games that he played, that he could be provincial number 1. In my opinion, like, Bain should be nowhere near the first team after his performances the last couple of games since he played.
Bain's got worse for me. Bain's got a worse goalkeeper than he is when we signed him.
Yeah, he has got worse, hasn't he?
I don't know whether he's not playing regularly enough and that, but it's just, I thought Bain was a good keeper when we signed him, and I thought he was more than capable of being a number 2 for us and filling in with maybe the League Cup games and things like that. But he's just get progressively worse.
But would it be down to the fact? Could it be down to the fact, Mark, that maybe our defence has been so bad this season that it has just ripped confidence of the whole back line and the keeper, do you think? Or?
Well, that could play a big part in it. I mean, the defence has been rotten, not been that settled. The goalkeepers have
changed all the time.
Say that again, Paul.
I said chopping and changing the back 4 and chopping the changing of keepers all season as well. Is it going to give Compton.
No,
What is it?
they're not getting used to playing with each other. No, I mean, you've got to have a kind of. I mean, see, was it the Hibs keeper, the Hibs defender yesterday? Mind the wee header that he just glanced back to his keeper. If I'd been a Celtic player, that was an OG.
Just going to live chat there. Iceman is saying we need to bring in a solid keeper that Barkas as number 2 next season. Lawn off kind of a more experienced keeper that was what we've seen. He could be kind of a risk next season. You know.
I agree with that. Bringing a solid keeper and give Barkas his chance as well, and let him know you're still welcome to this club and you're still your chance to fight for number 1. Go and fight him. We're bringing in a strong keeper, but go and fight him. Just go and fight him.
Hazard maybe go out loan next season and play first team football, John, or would you like him to stay around the first team in Celtic?
I'd put him out on loan, with an option to recall just in case any injury or anything happened, but I'd bring in a strong number 1 for him and Barkas to fight it out, just so give Barkas his chance to let him redeem himself. Obviously there's a quality keeper there, but if Barkas is the exact same starting next season, he's shown no signs again, then you just pull him out and you put that strong number 1 in. But when that strong number 1 comes in, you also give him his chance as well in pre-season and let him know it's his position too. It's Barkas or whoever we bring in. That's your jersey. Go and fight for it and win it.
For the midweek podcast, Jonas will be back on. We'll see what's happening with that Dundee United keeper. See what Jonas knows, for any talk about him coming to Celtic or that.
Aye, Mark, I go for him because he's not going to be really pricey.
I can't pronounce his name. I don't even. Sigris.
Sigris. Aye. He's not going to cost a lot, and you've seen what he can do. He's a good keeper. He's strong, so bring him in. It's not going to be pricey. You let him come in, like you've got a chance to win a number 1 position at a big club and be a legend, be a good keeper. Come in and say the same to Barkas too. You've got a chance to win number 1. Come and fight your position, and if Sigris doesn't work out, it's not too costly either. But I don't know. I still believe Barkas can do it. It's just you need to have that option there. If Barkas falters the way he did this season, you've got that strong keeper to come in and replace him.
So next, we know Edward finished top scorer. Now this is just the Premiership. It might have changed since I did. I don't think it did. In the Premier League, he's got 18 goals. Right. Most assists is Ryan Christie. He's got 6 assists. Next, under Edward is Tornell. Look, Tornell has 9 goals, and he hasn't even played half the season. Mark, like, is that a concern for you that maybe we could have got more goals if he was actually playing?
I think
more like that season.
I think we could have definitely. If Turnbull had been in the team, I don't understand why you never get in the team earlier than he did as well. Lennon said that he wasn't fit, and yet he'd been playing 90 minutes for Motherwell every week before that. Just another bizarre decision that Neil Lennon made. We're definitely a better team with Turnbull in than we were without him.
Do you think Lennon was just trying to keep all unhappy players happy with playing them? Because if he didn't play them, then he maybe get more unhappier.
The cronies, the old boys,
aye, he's bottled it. He's back down.
Kennedy's just done the same. We keep him playing Christie out in the right and things like that. Just there's no rational explanation for.
I don't understand that either. Look, we got him look at Dembele scored last week, and it's he could have played him yesterday instead of Christie. Christie's gone. We know Christie's going to go. He could have played Dembele yesterday and gave him 90 minutes and just kind of get my bit.
Forrest was on the bench. We said it earlier on. Why not start with a natural right winger in Forrest and then bring Dembele on with 20 minutes to go or whatever?
Do you think there's something in their contracts that they need to play? They need to play stuff like that. I don't know. There must have been something there for them to keep playing them, because it was just week after week. It was just downsparring, and they just kept playing them.
Another player, Mark, who chipped in with another player who chipped in with a lot of goals this season with 10 was Elyounoussi, and he's kind of been hit and miss this season. But would you hope that Celtic maybe can come to a deal for Elyounoussi next season? Do you think he actually would be a better player if we had a proper tactics and a manager who would actually play to his benefits, Elyounoussi?
I would like to see sign Elyounoussi for the right money. I don't think Southampton will want crazy money for him. And, well, his wages will be maybe a bit of a problem. But he seems to enjoy being at Celtic, even after this disaster of a season. So if the chance was there to sign Elyounoussi, I would take him. what did you say? He'd scored 10 goals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 10 goals in a garbage Celtic team is good going for me.
I think that was just 10 goals in the league as well. I think he scored a few in Europe.
10 goals in the league, yeah. 10 goals in the league, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that, see what we're saying with Barkas and that, the right manager playing in Elyounoussi, playing the right team, coached well. I think Elyounoussi would. I said it when we signed him. I thought he would have ripped Scottish football apart. He showed flashes of it, but he's not been consistent doing it. So, in a good Celtic team, I think he'd be an asset, a definite asset.
My thing about Elyounoussi, Mark, is that because I don't know the formation that we were playing this season. I used to all get mixed up what formation we were playing. Is I don't know his best position. You know, that's my thing. That I know he can score goals, and I liked under a new manager and have him playing to his best of his ability. But do you actually know his best position, or are you the same boat as me?
Well, he's meant to be a left winger, isn't he? But I think he plays like in the number 10 role, just off the striker as well. I would play him, see like the way Lubo used to play, just one of the players, you just give them the ball and see what they can do, kind of thing. Just give him a free roll just off the striker and see what he can do. Just work that area of the park.
And next door, two strikers. They played. Griffiths played 6 games. Yes, he played 6 games. Sorry, they played 29 games. Sorry, they played 29 games. 22 games Griffiths plays. Yes, he played 20 games. 6 goals each. That just sums up their season, doesn't it? There's 6 goals each for the two of them, John, don't it? Griffiths and Yeti.
It does sum up our season. It's Billy Griffiths. I expect a wee bit more. Currently, if you attend the whole season, because you can tell he's got a love for Celtic and he likes sticking it to him as well. But I don't know why Jetty came in at the start. He looked a bit promising with the goals he was snatching that, but as time went on, you kind of seen it wasn't right. It was his attitude and stuff like that as well. You kind of seen he had a bad lazy attitude, and when he was getting brought off, he kind of seen he was taking the huff and stuff. And when he was stalling, coming into the second half, and he was like stalling about to take kick off, his arms folded. It was that. I don't know, what a horrible attitude.
That does seem to be the biggest problem this season, wasn't it? Was we haven't been taking our chances. That you expect us to score these things, and every keeper seems to be having a good game against us. But realistically, like, these chances should have been put away by Celtic, shouldn't they?
You can say about the goalkeepers, but you can also just talk about how clinical the strikers and that have been. But we missed some really sitters in games over the season as well. If Griffiths we know what's happened with Griffiths this season. I didn't even think he'd scored 6 goals, to be honest with you, Paul. But it was back to the same thing as well. They can't score goals if they're sitting on the bench, which Griffiths has basically done for the year.
Our longest winning streak for this season was only 7 games. We went unbeaten, and our winless streak was 4 games. We didn't even have a proper run this season, John. So we didn't really have anything really going for us this season.
No, we didn't have a good proper run. There was one moment in this season, when we played against Aberdeen, we played in the semi-final. When Griffiths scored that wee worldie, Christie scored the worldie. I thought, this is us, we're turning the corner. And just after that game, we faltered again. And I still kind of had faith. I kept going, it's going to change. And I think it was just a St. game. That's my heart just went. It's not happening.
So, like, at the start of the season, we started off well. The first game of the season, we beat Hamilton 5-1. August, we went through. We won 4 games. We drew 1. Then the Balangoli situation with COVID happened when Celtic was suspended for 2 weeks playing, and Balangoli failed to tell the management that he went to Spain for 3 days and he was in around the first team. So that's why we were suspended for 2 games. What do you think? This was the start of this whole maybe bust up between the backroom team and maybe the players that we heard that there was fights in the thing. Do you think around here in August that it was the start of it, or was it after? Do you think? Or
I think it really all came to a head. When did that happen with Balangoli? Because it was for me, it was when Neil Lennon came out after the European game and talked about players not wanting to be there. And that for me, that was the case.
Yes.
I don't know what happened first.
That thing happened first was he came out and he slated the players. He came out that time.
That was the start of the slow decline of the season, shall we call it. But the bad publicity around the club didn't help, and the club just... Well, they've done the right thing, letting him get on loan, and I don't think he'll be back, but again, it was a bit blown out of proportion with the press and that, for me, to be honest, Paul.
Do you think will he get another chance at Celtic, do you think, under new manager, John, or is it just unforgivable what he did this season, Balangoli?
I think his time is kind of up a wee bit. But if he goes away in a pandemic and he knows that country's off the list, to come back and not say anything, knowing it can kind of falter us in a big season like this and not say anything, knowing the way the media is in this country, anything our club does to falter us to win this 10 in a row, they're going to jump right on it and punish us. For him to come back and do that, all the cameras and everything, all the technology these days, to him come back and not say anything, and it's wrong. I think it's time's brought up. I think we need a good solid left back in as well. But I like Taylor too, but I'd bring somebody to challenge him, to let the two of them fight for it. Because you need, in every position, you need somebody that's good. Two people that's good for every position, to let them fight and keep another person on their toes.
I said the other night, John, about Montgomery, how he had a good game the other night, and he done no...
He played well, Mark, and I don't understand how he didn't start him yesterday either.
But I like Taylor as well, and I've always said that.
I like Taylor, he gets stuck in.
He's a good backup left back. He's good enough for us in Scotland, but he's not good enough for where our ambition should lie. But he's a good number two. But when Montgomery coming into the team, we still need a good left back. Does that?
If you've got somebody in it's your first left back, it's going to come in, it's going to hold that position. It's going to spur Taylor on and make him want to fight more, make him be better.
But is that going to hold back Montgomery?
I know what you mean.
Does
Taylor
need to move on, or does Montgomery need to go out and loan to? What age is Montgomery?
He's young, isn't he? He's in his teens. I'm not too sure his age, but
17, 18, young lad, yeah.
Old enough to go out and loan then, but because that would leave me. We're either going to hold back Montgomery, or we're going to need to get rid of Taylor if we bring in a new first choice left back.
I see what you mean. It's like you bring a first choice left back and you get three there, so you're going to hold back Montgomery, and it could be an Kieran Tierney. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So next, one of the big issues this season was our failure to win against Rangers. Look, they beat us 3 times. We drew 1 game, but we just didn't seem up for any game against Rangers this season, Mark, did we?
No, there was just no fight. There was no fight or urgency about the team. That was the main problem. And as I keep saying all the time, they're not a good team. They're just a well-organised, well-drilled team. They know their job, they stick to their job, and that's it, and it gets them the results. And Celtic just didn't turn up. They didn't turn up in any of the derby games at all this season. The players let themselves down. If you can't be fired up, whether you're playing for Accies against Motherwell or Celtic against Rangers, Man United against Liverpool, if you can't get yourself fired up for playing in the derby game, you shouldn't be playing for that club.
Spot on, Mark. Spot on.
Another kind of a main issue for me, and myself and Mark talked about this, was that obviously Skpe played too many games this season, and we haven't been playing Zorro. And I looked at Zorro's stats, and he has the most tackles this season, Mark, in the opposition's side of the pitch. Zorro, and I think that do you think playing Skpe affected Callum McGregor's performances this season, Mark, that he was actually tracking back the covers, or was it just purely down to Callum McGregor having a poor season overall?
I think it was a bit of both. That's one of the worst seasons I've seen Callum McGregor having a Celtic jersey. As you said, Brown wasn't the player he was, so Callum McGregor was working that wee bit harder and maybe no driving forward as much in that, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But we've said it for weeks that Sorrow should have been getting a lot more game time and should have had a lot more game time. But it was just favouritism again, the old crony act. We keep saying it. There was no reason. Celtic played enough football over the season for Scott Brown at his age to get enough game time to keep him happy, and for Sorrow to get enough game time to let him progress in the team. And just mere bizarre, crazy decisions stopped that happening.
John, do you have any kind of thoughts on this situation, that why we haven't been playing Zorro as much as we should have been?
I think it's just seen the team is lacking a bit of energy and leadership, and I think that's who Scott Brown is playing because of the leadership he brings, but a bit of sentiment as well because he's leaving, it's his last season, and just kind of keep playing Scott, give his games, and I think some of them just come up to the last quarter of the season's gone, just keep playing him. Bit of sentiment, he's been here for 14 seasons, he's done everything for us, so just let him play it out. We're not going to win the league anyway. I think that's the way it got to the last couple of games, just let him play.
So I'm going to let this season finished. I'm personally glad to see the end of it, and hopefully, Mark, this will be the last time we speak of this season on the podcast. So, John, moving on to next season, where do you want to see things happening first in the club? I know it's the manager, but do we get rid of the players who don't want to be here first, or do we start making signings straight away, do you think? Or
the players that want to be here, they should be already told for yesterday after the game, find your clubs and don't report to training for pre-season. He's been a disappointment, a big time letdown. And for there, just let the manager start bringing these new signings in. People want to fight for this club, fight for the badge and bring us success again. Because I'm disgusted with a lot of them. Big time. We're left with this pain. They're leaving in planes and trains wherever they're gone, the big contracts in the leagues, wherever they go to. But we're left with this pain, having to watch all that. Sorry for the language, piss yesterday.
Mark, what do you think? Do we think we should maybe move on to players that don't want to be here as quickly possible and let the new manager bring in the players he wants to replace them kind of straight away, kind of a thing?
Well, I think it's more important to get the players that the manager wants in the door, because transfers can drag out and drag on for months, and we're no want that. We're no want to be scrimping and scraping at the arse end of the transfer window like we're usually doing. Because we know who's leaving, we know the deals will be getting worked on probably the new kind of thing, so we've got to concentrate on what's coming in rather than what's going out. That's the way forward for us.
That's what I'm thinking, Taylor. I'm thinking, see, the silence has been the last few months off them. I'm thinking the board's seen that it's been a disaster season, it's gone. Just do everything behind the scenes now, get it all. See the strongness we're going to bring this summer, get it all sorted, the new manager, and all the big signings we're going to bring. And after the season's finished in the summer, announce all that in the wanny, and we know who's gone, so we'll get all them out on the back run, and we'll bring us.
Announce it in a wanny.
You know what I mean? Announce it on the hang me on the one. I've been out today. I've had a wee hall walk and went for a few pints in that today, so my mum went a wee bit.
Would Callum Mack be your choice of captain next season, John, or do you think maybe if Eddie Howe's the manager, you would like to see him bring in his own captain? Or
it just depends. It depends. I don't know. People keep saying Callum Mack's been kind of how he's been there and he's vice captain. I've heard Kieran Tierney say he's quite vocal on that as well. But it just depends how he is. Obviously, Paul McStay, I've heard Frank McAvenny say he wasn't vocal, but he led by example. It's how the new manager sees a new captain. Does he want him to get as a leader and shout and tell people what to do, or does he want to get lead example? But if Callum Mack is a new captain, I wouldn't be too fussed. But I'm not too sure. It's up to who the new manager thinks.
Mark, if Callum Mack does stay next season, because you think maybe his head is turned that there's rumours that Rodgers wants to leak up to him again, but you think if he stays, maybe it would be key to the development of the new players coming in, that he be captain next season?
Well, I've said before I didn't think he would be here next season, but I see Scott Brown said that he's getting put in charge of the team Snapchat group or WhatsApp group or something like that, so maybe he is going to be staying.
Snatch chat.
Snapchat, is that what it's called?
No, Snatch.
I'm the same, Mark. I'm not a technology person, social media person.
Well, it's a captain. we've spoken about Paul McStay and the different types of captain that you can get, but as Barry talks about, you want leaders all over the park. Do you know what I mean? If you've got, feel like the Martin O'Neill team, Brendan Rodgers team, did it really matter that Scott Brown was a captain?
We're all born winners and all leaders.
I mean, or who was the captain when Martin O'Neill was? It should be something that runs through the team. And probably that's why Paul McStay made a good captain, because there was other folk in the team that done the ball and shouting side of things on the park. It's a kind of, what would you call it, like an honorary kind of thing, isn't it, if Callum McGregor gets it kind of...
Aye. I think, see Scott Brown was both. I think he was like put an arm in you and he could shout to you.
Aye.
He'll be your pal, but he can still shout at you. And keep it up, keep on, keep going, but he'll turn and he'll tell you straight. He'll still be your mate as well.
If a new manager coming in wants to bring in somebody as their captain, I've not got a problem with that either.
I've not an issue either. I've not an issue with that either.
See, with decisions like that, and with all decisions managers make, you've got to remember as well, it's their job that's on the line.
Mm-hmm.
These players were right. I've said I blame the players for this season more than anything, but it's like when folk were out campaigning for Len to get sacked, and that's still guys' jobs. You know what I mean? They're hired and sacked and fired.
It's always the manager, isn't it, Mark? That's out the first, like
exactly.
the modern game. Power, like, isn't it?
Nobody ever comes out and says to a football. I mean, Chief Celtic could come out and say to a Yeti, "You're a lazy get, son. You're sacked. We're ripping up your contract. Whatever we owe you, you can sue us for it. You didn't meet the standards that we set for you to sign that contract." It never happens. It's the manager. It all falls back to the manager, and then they're out the door.
Can I tell you something? Brian Michaels says in the chat today, a captain is respected. First and foremost, a captain can need to be respected, but feared as well, but feared in a good way. See, like feared in a good way as well. If you don't want to let him down, but no, that scares me.
Going back to it yesterday, there, right? There was a few discussions there yesterday on the live chat and on the forum about it yesterday. That a lot of people would give him a chance next season, that under a new manager that he could be a good player for Celtic, that if he had the right team around him. What's your thoughts, Nick? I really don't know about him, to be honest, you know?
Nah, I would rather he went. Mark, did you bring up something in the forum a while ago? You heard like somebody say he was like the worst person ever for his attitude?
It was during one of our very first podcasts. I got an email from somebody, and it was them that said that, see that thing with the Lee Griffiths tract? It was the same email, and a wee bit of what I say in case I slip a name in here, and it came through somebody that knew somebody, and that's what they said, that a Yeti was one of the worst human beings or something he'd ever met.
I seen you that it confirmed it for me, because I seen his attitude in the park when he was getting to the calf. He was moaning, like telling me.
That's what the impression I got off him, John, was.
When they stood there with the elbows full, and I was like, "Who hit a stone?"
And you're looking at him going, "But you got taken off because you played crap."
It's the man's decision. It's a tactic, King. You're getting took off for a reason. Let that player go and do his job. You've not been doing your job. It's all about the team. It's not about you staying in the park for another 20 minutes. It's about this player going on and making this win happen. That's the way his attitude stunk to me. I wouldn't be disappointed if he left.
I would be disappointed if he left.
For him, isn't
there?
People talking about maybe getting a swap for somebody.
I think so. In Basel, yeah, there was, but I don't know the player.
I can't. Did any of you see that link on Twitter? Me and Paul were talking about it earlier today. It was some Skpe or something you pronounced. It was spelled. And
yeah, I'll put it up in the list there.
It doesn't even exist. I can't find a mention of him anywhere.
Jesse in Pecme or something like that. I think it was. I couldn't. I looked him up. Mark looked him up, and we couldn't find him nowhere. So we couldn't. And Jonas put it up as well on the Twitter feed that Celtic would be signing a great player if they signed this player, and I couldn't see him nowhere, Mark.
Oh, well, there we go then. Well, Jonas can fill us in about it on Tuesday or Wednesday when he's on.
Yeah.
It wasn't even on Transfer Market or the stats sites or that I look at.
the name is up in the live chat there now, so if any guys from the live chat could maybe look it up and see if they can find him, but me and Mark couldn't actually find him. If Eddie Howe's the next appointment, John, would you be happy with his disappointment? Would he be your number one choice, Eddie Howe?
When I'm my first number one choice, I'd rather have seen Marcelo Bielsa. But Eddie Howe, I'm 50-50. I'm not too excited, but I've seen a lot of good positives, like the old players his manager spoke about him and how good he is, and I've seen a bit of negative side. That's where he heads in the forum. Right? He can't set up a defence. He's crap at set up defences. That's something we need sorted this season. Defence needs sorted. But I've seen a lot of positives too. If he comes in as a manager, I'm going to get behind him. He's a Celtic manager, so I'm going to stand behind him. He's our manager, so I'll stand behind him and I'll give him his chance. But I'm not too.
Box office name.
He's not got me in my juices gone. I'm not too. Yes, Eddie Howe. I'm not too that way. But I'd rather Marcelo Bielsa. His contract's on in the summer. He's not agreed it yet. I'd rather seen pushing the boat a wee bit for him. But if he comes in,
he always does that. He'll waits till the season's finished and then he negotiates his contract. He's always
try and get me money.
To say how well he's done in the season, because there's something he negotiates. See, his salary includes his wages and the salary for his staff and that. He gets paid and he pays his staff.
So he pays his staff off his wages?
I'm sure I've read that or somebody tell.
What does that tell you? That's a humble person, isn't it?
He looks at it. This is the football department.
I'm looking after them. You need somebody like your club.
Season, I'll see what we've done, and I'll come and tell you what we're due for this next contract. For kind of.
That's a good thing. That's a humble person, and that's somebody I like to see at the club. Whereas Eddie Howe, I see him as he's done good at Bournemouth, he's been relegated, he's left. I see him, he's wanting to maybe come up here. I'll do good for a season or two, maybe a season. If I get an offer down south, I'm off. See what that? But I see Marcelo Bielsa.
Next question I was going to ask you, do you think, Mark, the first offer he'll get down to south, that he'll move down there straight away, or will he be like the way he was a former, actually spend a few seasons with us?
No, I think we say it all the time, we call it a project and that. I think that's the kind of, everybody in the English press was saying that, Eddie Howe's looking for the next project and that. So I don't think if he comes it would only be for a year. I think he'd stay at least 3 years. I would like to think he'd stay 3 years before even starting to have a glance down. But the thing about it is, we've made a hell of a lot of money when Brendan Rodgers walked out on us. We just make sure we're going to be well compensated if Eddie Howe does the same.
That'd be interesting, Mark, because Rodgers did start off the rolling contract, didn't he? And then it was shaded then.
He's got the 4 or 5 year deal or whatever it was after the first season. But it was more a case of, it was maybe even a way out for two of them. See, like if Rodgers, he came up for a year and then thought, I don't fancy living in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? I think that was maybe an out for him as well. Doing the 1 year deal.
Sorry, well, Brian says the player we're looking at is a Christian teacher. He's a Christian teacher. It's the name I put up on the.
That's what I was getting as well. That's what I was getting on Google as well.
Seriously, Mark, I cannot find that person hunting like.
I don't know. It was all Bible stuff and that I was finding as well. I was getting on here.
Because I texted you on Twitter and on the Skype, I sent you the Twitter feed and you said, I looked him up, I can't find it.
As soon as I seen it, I knew what it was you were sending me. I didn't even need to look it up.
Who's this? It's the Christian teachings.
It's a player that was on Twitter that John Celtic are meant to be signing this player. There was a few things under it saying, he's a good player now. Called Jesse Skpe, IKPE.
I'll search him.
And there's nothing, Brian says there's nothing about him on the internet apart from some kind of Christian teacher. I don't know if it's something sarcastic and we're just missing out on it.
He's coming to convert the Rangers supporters that went on the streets yesterday.
Maybe it's a joke and we're not getting it. We've just fell hook like the sinker for it, some stupid.
I can't see nothing. I can only see the Twitter and Facebook pages. I'm not really.
Mark, do you think is it an exciting time for a new manager to come in, like for Celtic, considering so many players are moving, that it's like a big huge fresh start, really, isn't it, for any manager coming into Celtic now, isn't it, that he's able to bring in basically his own squad, really, isn't he?
Aye, definitely. As I said earlier on, it's a clean slate across the board for everybody. Even players that have fell by the wayside, it's a new chance for them to show that they're interested in playing for Celtic and being there. You know, a new manager coming in, new coaches coming in, new ideas, hopefully a director of football, a new CEO. There should be plenty of money to spend. So for me, this is a good. Obviously, it's been a disaster of a season, but it's finished. It's over and gone, mate. We can only look forward now, and for me, this is a good time. The next few months, and that's a good time to be coming into Celtic. We can only go up. There's only one way out for us now, and that's up.
Exactly. John, you think it's an exciting time to be a Celtic supporter now that realistic, we probably have a new team on the park next season?
I've been excited for the last couple of months. I've just kind of wrote this season off. I've kind of been a bit excited, just waiting for the announcement to come, who the manager's going to be, who we're going to bring in. It's on the phone, a lot of fans were complaining and announce it, but it's there, it's up there, it's an opinion, and entitled to it. I've went through a horrible season and a hurting as much as always, and I've just been excited for the summer, and I'm looking forward to this summer. And
is there any major position, John, do you think we need to improve next season? Like, I know there's changes across the board, but is there any specific position you think that really needs to be invested in?
Defence needs a good bit of money in there. We need to sort of defence out, get that solid, because I believe in the midfield we've got Sorrell and Turnbull. Sorrell's your defensive, it's going to clear everything up and protect your defence. You've got Turnbull, he's going to create and go forward. You've got McGregor there too, he's going to make all the play and create stuff too. And the wings, I think you need the wings, you definitely need at least two left wingers and at least one right winger, because you've got James Forrest there too, but you need another right winger. Up front, I would really give Griffiths another year. Edwards away, we know that. Kamara's away, and Ajeti, I'd like to see him leave. So defence and up front need money put in you. And with the keeper situation, a key back is another wee chance, but we need a strong number one in there as well to compete with them.
Would you bring the likes of Luca Connell and that into the first team squad next year?
Aye, Mark, I would all the young boys, I'd bring them in and tell them this is your chance, that's your jersey, go and take it. Because nobody deserves that jersey that's selling now, so it's your chance, go and take it. And young...
Oh, no, on you go. Sorry, John, on you go.
Young Ian Henderson, I would love to see him come in and get his chance. I've been disappointed. He came there in the European game there, and he won last afternoon, he played outstanding. And Rodgers' last game for us, he came on and get man of the match that game. I think it was against Motherwell, and he wasn't seen again after that, I think, until that European game. And it looks like a quality wee player. And just to bring young players in, let them play outstanding, and then just drop them again the next game. What's that doing? Their confidence? What's that telling them? Bring them in and give them a chance. They're young.
The same with yesterday, you know, always near the end of the season, we used to always see maybe a young player getting a game. I thought that was one of the biggest disappointments from yesterday's game, was that we didn't see no young player. Actually, we saw Dembele get 10 minutes in Montgomery, but
it shouldn't be the end of the season, Paul.
Yeah,
be the end of the season.
They should be competitive games that you need to fight to win.
You're allowed that many subs. I said the other night Celtic should have a squad. A 23-man squad you're allowed. Celtic should have like 16 like right first team players, and the rest of the squad should be made up of the younger boys. And you're allowed that many substitutions in games now. There's no reason for these youngsters not to get on the park. You should have enough subs here. If you need to change the game, change it. But you have enough youngsters here that if you're 3-0 up or something like that, 20 minutes to go, you put one of the young boys on just to have a bit of experience in playing in first team.
I know, that's why I didn't agree with Henderson going out on loan. Why put him on loan the last couple months for the season? When the season's gone, you could just give him the game time and get him to play and get him to show what he's all about.
mean, we play enough games between Europe, the Cups and the League. We play enough games for all the players to be kept happy with game time. And it just seemed to stick with cronyism after cronyism. Because I'm going to quote Roy Keane here, you've got to prove that you're no good enough to drop. Do you know what I mean? You've got to play every minute and train every minute to show the manager you're good enough to drop.
That's what I like about Roy Keane. He's you know, if you're good enough, you'll play. He's a fighter. He wants to win. It's all about winning. It's just keep win. He's just a winner, a born winner. And I get a lot of fans when they want him because he just a lot of previous stuff and the way he is in the dressing room and stuff. But he's a winner, and you only won that part if you're a winner and you want to play for that badge and win games. That's the only reason you'll be in that starting 11. Not because your name and your flashy name and stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
Mark, would he be an interesting choice for you, or do you think coming in if it wasn't Eddie Howe?
I think if it isn't Eddie Howe, that's who it'll be. And I mean, I love Roy Keane. Beyond.
Would you be happy with him, Mark, if he was a manager? No.
No, I wouldn't want him as manager, John. No.
Why?
I don't think.
No, I respect your opinion, Mark. You've got a lot of good info for him, and I like.
The tactics side of the game and that, I just don't think he's that he's that modern, or that he's got that kind of
I think that's
flair and that. I would like him to come in as see, like if we'd got Roy Keane and Ronnie Dyle as his number 2, I think that would have been ideal. So
because Ronnie
the only way I would take Roy Keane is if he was bringing in like good coaches that were going to be doing the coaching, and Roy Keane was just nearly your Martin O'Neill kind of manager.
Because Roy's got the battle on him, and Ronnie Dillard had the tactics and stuff, the fitness and that. He'd had all that side to him. Same as that Flash Nepani on the other side of the city. He's getting nothing about him. It's only his assistant that's got the tactics about him.
Michael.
Aye.
That's the only way I would take Keane. And I mean, I totally love Roy Keane. And
there's an interesting topic here from Buzz there actually on the live chat. He's saying 5 subs hasn't worked for us. We seem to have got worse. Do you think the 5 subs, Mark, has actually affected Celtic this season? That we were able to bring on too many players and we're just throwing on players for the sake of it, or?
But I think we were just throwing on players for the sake of it because we were struggling, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as we spoke about, we couldn't even tell what formation we were playing at times. We started.
And even like Mickey Johnson on the day against Rangers, substitution kind of made no sense to no one.
But for me, the more subs you've got on the bench, the more options you've got to change the team. I mean, that's allowing you to change half your outfield players throughout the game. 5 subs. So if things aren't working, you should be able to totally change what you're doing, either with the players that are on the park. I mean, how many times did you see Rodgers changing the actual formation when things weren't going right? You never seen Lennon or Kennedy doing anything like that. They just played the same system. Then as the game went on, they changed the subs, and before you know it, it was like playing up a big park. It was just everybody charging forward, chasing the ball, trying to get a goal.
I was with Rodgers once, went down to 10 men against him at Ibrox. We lost a defender and he bought a striker on, go for it. Exactly. Edward came on, they scored the one in the 3-2 game.
Yeah, going by John Kennedy and myself and Mark discussed him numerous of times, John, on this podcast. Like, do you think now it's time for him, that we've seen enough of him, that he needs to move away from the club and the club need to have just a fresh start of backroom staff next season under the new manager?
For Kennedy?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, aye. For his own self, aye, go and try and get a job. Someday, it doesn't need to be a big club, just somewhere in Scotland that you're going to go yourself, you're going to go and do your own stuff, be your own manager, your own philosophy, your own tactics, and go and build yourself up. Then maybe somewhere in the future you've done that good, you can come back. But in terms of what he just showed there the last 10 games,
can't get a job the way he's been so disappointing at Celtic.
He's no chase nothing at all. He just played the same players that's let us doing all season. As I've been saying, our young players don't give any a chance. He had Dembele scoring last week, come on, done all right, and he just left him again on the bench.
The thing that got me with Kennedy was that, like, he was working in the youth, Mark, for years, and he knows the youth system inside out because he's been in the club for years, and he actually never kind of looked at any youth player to give him a run. That's the thing that got me with Kennedy, You know,
Well, he gave Welsh a run.
I don't think he had a choice to give Welsh one, did he?
No.
Considering the way we've been bad.
As I said previously, it just was a carbon copy of Lennon.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The perfect chance to come in and shake.
Change things up.
Even though looking, and John Kennedy knew he was never going to get Celtic manager's job, right? Because it just we're talking about Eddie Howe's no box office enough. John Kennedy's nowhere near box office enough. You know what I mean? Pardon me.
Mark, we need someone. Buzz has asked, like, do we need someone who knows the league, or like Eddie Howe doesn't know this league?
That's
Is
what
that a risk, or is it
before.
that came into Rangers? It doesn't matter if you're a good manager, you're a good manager, and if you've the right backroom thing around you and get the structure right.
I think it helps. That's what I was just going to say before I had a coughing fit there. That would be one of the only pluses, Kennedy, staying here, if the new manager wanted somebody that knew the Scottish game inside out, which done with John Collins. But really, there's no that big a difference between the English League and the Scottish League, as in like general football and what's the word, ethos kind of thing. It's not as if it's a foreign manager coming into a different country with all the kind of barriers you would get with that. But
I think Howe
definitely,
being down as well, Mark, would help him as well. Do you think that he brought Bournemouth up through the leagues as well? That he knows the kind of toughness of different leagues as well will help him, I think.
that'll definitely be a plus for him. That he's managed down in the lower leagues, England, and that, because it shows as well that he's used to dealing with players at all different levels. I seen somebody wrote something today talking about somebody questioning whether he could handle big players with big egos and that. Uh, Young boys doing in that English Premiership have got big egos. Do you know what I mean? As soon as they get their first professional contract. So Eddie Howe's been used to dealing with players at all different levels of the game. So I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem that way.
But see, talk about big Eels down in England. I've heard some of the youth players down there, like Chelsea, at their own 60 grand a week.
Aye.
They're not even in the first team yet. That's scary, man.
I was just laughing at the live chat there. Sorry. If you were the manager, no, John, and you were watching Celtic the last 10 games, and supposedly Eddie Howe does know he's coming in, and what would you be thinking of this Celtic squad at the moment?
Because I've been thinking, I've been going on my phone, I've been asking Dom McKay for Edward's number, Ryan Christie's number, Ajetti's number, and a good few others, and I've been texting them like that, they'd go and book a flight, he's off, he's on in my plans. And they've been going to sort of defence it, bringing in a strong centre back as commanding, a good strong keeper, and that.
Do you think Markey already has a judgment on the Celtic team, that he actually knows the players who are staying and he knows the players who are going already?
Whoever the manager's going to be, as we say, we think it's been a done deal for weeks now. So they'll know everything there is to know about every player at Celtic. Whether it's down to their contract, do you know what I mean? How long's he going to be here for? How long am I going to be working with this player for? Down to how he's been playing the games. I've been I've even been watching past videos of games, not just over the last weeks, whatever, to see what players that they actually were, how they played last season. Like he'll want to know why these players that have won a quadruple treble suddenly just collapsed this season and done nothing.
Mark, see, I said it how he drank, he's been told already, like Edward and Charm, see players like that, he's been told already they've been let to leave, they've caused a lot of disharmony in the squad. Do you think he's already been told that and he's already sanctioned it, he's just going to sort my moves before I come in, because I don't want players like that in my squad to...
I think so. I think I'd like to think that all these deals are really basically done. You know what I mean? These transfers to drag on for months kind of thing. But so I think Edward and that, they'll know they've got a choice of X or Y team come the summer. So the players will know themselves. So whoever the manager's going to be will be filled in about that. He'll know exactly who's going to be there next season and who's not. Then it's up to him to decide if there's anything else we need to.
Just going by what John was saying there, do you think that if it is Eddie Howe, that he was told that, you say Edward, Christie, Oyer, Encham that these players have caused disharmony within the dressing room and fights and stuff like that because they want to. Do you think he'd be aware of these things, or would the club not let him know that?
Maybe I think that's how Kennedy's played them. Eddie Howe's Tolton played him. So I want to see what they're again in these last couple of games. I want to see the fight they're again.
But they're not going to be here because they're getting into the last year of their contract. So,
but I think
there's no way Edouard's going to sign a new contract at Celtic.
No.
So why does Eddie Howe care what Edouard's done in the dressing room this season? When Brendan Rodgers came in, we also asked him about Lee Griffiths, and he scored 40 odd goals the season before that.
Just as an example, so like the way he was this season, and I presume he read papers and saw stuff that Lee Griffiths came in unfit this season and his fitness levels were down. Do you think maybe Eddie Howe coming in would probably go, look, the way you are last season under a previous manager, I don't want you in a run my team, or is it a clean slate for everyone, Mark, do you think?
I think even to Griffiths, well, again, if he's only got a year in his contract, is he going to stay for it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's to players like Griffiths, Ayer, Edouard, and that, to me, it's down to the contract situation. But I don't see why Eddie Howe can't say to Lee Griffiths, look, this is your last chance saloon. I've known what you're capable of for years, just as an out-and-out goal scorer. If you can get back to proving that, you've got a future at the club. But if you're not going to work hard and try to get back to that level, then you'll not have any future here.
There's a discussion
to every player for me. That should be the message to every player.
Yeah, there's a discussion, Mark, there, and Iceman brought up in the live chat, and I saw as well before things that Edouard could be missing for the first couple of games for the Champions League qualifiers because he's more likely going to be called up to the French Olympic team. Would you be hoping he'd be sold by then, or the club going to make sure they get into the Champions League with these players, and then maybe step?
When's the Olympics?
Just after the European Championships, I presume. They're just in and around our first two games of the Champions League. He'd be missing, I think. So it'd be that 2 weeks of July.
That's a tough one. Because if it's going to be a long drawn out transfer, then we want him here to play for us.
Mm-hmm.
If Edouard's intending to go, you tell him there and then, well, if you're going, get it done before you go to the Olympic Games. Because we'll be free.
But if he moved in, we say Arsenal, we saved our Champions League team. Would he be cup tied then to play for them in the Champions League, or would he refuse to play for Celtic if he's going to be cup tied in the Champions?
I'm sure they've changed that rule now that he wouldn't be cup tied. I'm sure they changed a couple of years ago, Paul. But then again, it's doing, well, if you're a Celtic employee and you're still under contract, you're playing for us. You might want to leave. Well, leave. But if you're under contract, you'll be playing for us. And if he's to play, you'll not get any wages, and we'll sue you for breach of contract.
You know, if you're wanting to leave, like we put on a performance for us and get your move that you want. You know, what's your thoughts on that, John? Would you like Edouard in around the Champions League qualifiers, or would you hope that Celtic would have a new striker in place by then?
I'd rather he goes because his heart's not in the club. So I'd rather just take money for him and invest it in a new striker. His heart's going to want to come and do something at Celtic and make the Champions League. I'd rather just take the money and invest it.
I'd like to see the players that wanted to leave and who came out purposely leave as soon as the transfer window opens. Clean slate, then we know where we are. Do you know that kind of a thing, Mark? Would you agree with that?
I'd agree with you there, Paul. I'd like to see them all. See the minute the transfer window's open, I want to see them announce their Edouard's.
Yeah.
Get them out the door as quickly as possible. And just, but was it John that said as well? Just even if they're no away, sold or that. See when pre-season training starts, just tell them no, just don't bother turning up. You're looking to move. It's you that are dragging your heels, your agents or whoever are dragging their heels. So you're no part of the plans. You don't intend to be here, so don't bother turning up for training.
I think we should have done that in January. It was clear to see in January, man. I think we should have.
Sorry, just taking a drink. So we're going to finish there with the hopefully the next couple of weeks. We'll have more clarity on the manager. We'll see new players coming and going within Celtic. John, before we go, have you anything to say about this meeting between Celtic and the Celtic fans on Thursday? And any thoughts of yourself on that?
What would you say there, Paul? Sorry.
Any thoughts on the meeting between that we spoke at the start of the show between the Celtic board, Dom McKay and Peter Law, and then with the supporters on Thursday?
No, I didn't really catch earlier on part of the show, so I just got in a while ago. But from what I heard, it's like we're saying about the season books. Obviously, that's a big part of your investment in the squad. So obviously, if fans don't take it, their season book renewal, it's going to affect the squad rebuild and stuff like that. But can I put in as well? I seen something on our Celtic forum on our show about Celtic about Lennoxtown, the training centre, been named after Tommy Burns, training academy.
It was actually back where I asked the Tommy Burns, and I wanted to put that in because John wanted. We had a show there during the week with the question and answers that it was actually John who mentioned that Lennoxtown should be named after Tommy Burns. You know, I think that would be a good tribute to Tommy Burns, wouldn't it, to rename the training ground? You know. You there, Mark?
Oh, I thought you were asking John about that. I spoke about that earlier on, aye.
Actually, it was actually John who asked that question last week, and I didn't see his text on the Skype because I was going through it. So that's why.
I said earlier, John, I definitely named the training ground after him and get a statue of him up outside Celtic Park.
That's a man that played this club through his blood and Toby gave out for this club. It was Celtic through and through, and it's as all the stories you hear about the man. It's like it was Celtic through and through, but it just as a person in general, just a brilliant person. And he was one of the ones that fought for that training centre to be bought because it was going to bring us forward and the future was going to produce the best for this club.
Mm-hmm. So, just before we finish the show, I just want to ask both of you, and should we concentrate on all three cups these, or slowly just concentrate on the league, just get the league back, or should we maybe, as we said there, maybe play more youth in the likes of the League Cups, Mark, get them experience there, do you think, or?
Go for the treble.
That's it. I want everything. I want a Brendan Rodgers season, the first season he came in. I want that full blown right out.
Build the squad with decent, good enough players, and there's no reason by the right manager. There's no reason that Celtic can't do something like that next year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see blue tears next year. I want to see pain.
So, folks, that's all for tonight. Again, myself, thanks to Brian and John for joining us on the show tonight. My thanks to you guys in the live chat for tuning in, and of course, my thanks to Mark for having me on the show. Mark, yourself, off to you.
I don't need to thank me, Paul. Thanks you for everything you do. Thanks very much to Brian and John for coming on, and everybody in the live chat. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've not subscribed, please do so, and remember and hit the like button as well. Good night, lads. God bless.
God bless.
Bye.